Good afternoon, everyone. So, so far we have discussed so many concepts. That means we have completed the unit two. Unit two. So, before entering into the unit three, the next unit, I just need to explain. That means recollect all the concepts which we have discussed in second unit. In this class, I'm not going to start the third unit. I just want to discuss the topics which are covered in second unit, and as well as I want to discuss the previous university questions which are given in previous years. So from tomorrow onwards we will start unit 3. So for this class I will discuss, that means once again recollect the topics which we have discussed in the second unit, and as well as in the previous university question papers. Okay, so our second unit is jet transformations. Jet transformations. Okay, so the second unit is jet transformations. So this particular unit has been discussed. That means these topics are very well known to you. Why? Because these topics are being studied by you in your third year first semesters in the subject signals and systems. Okay, so some of the contents are very similar to this signals and system subject. Apart from the jet transformations, the ending part of this unit will be used to discuss the topic pulse transfer function. Pulse transfer function. Before that also, we have discussed some of the concepts regarding the difference equations. Okay, so let me recollect all the concepts which we have discussed in second unit. So in the beginning itself, we have discussed the introduction parts of the jet transform. That means what are the different types of the transformation techniques which are used for the application of the digital control systems. Those are the Laplace and jet transforms. So for applying, that means for continuous time signals and systems, majorly the transformation technique used is about the Laplace transform, whereas for linear time invariant such as discrete time systems, the transformation technique which are going to available is jet transforms. After that, we have seen the definition of the jet transform. That means this definition is based on the single-sided, that means one-sided jet transform and two-sided jet transform. One-sided jet transform means it is going to be starts from k is equal to 0 to infinity, and two-sided jet transform is going to start from minus infinity to the infinity, where f of k is nothing but the discrete function which is going to be multiplied with z power minus k. So after that we have entered into the major fundamental problems of jet transform. That means if the sequence is given, set of values are given, how the jet transform is going to be calculated for that one. So in the set of the variables or values, if any arrow mark is going to be given for a particular value, the left hand side part of the indicated value has to be taken as the negative, and right handed side part values are going to be taken as the positive, and the indicated value has to be assumed as a 0. If indication is not given for the sequence of the values, we can take the indication from the starting value. It's starting value itself. That means a starting value is going to be taken as the origin. Okay. So after that, we have seen how to determine the jet transform for the fundamental equations. Fundamental equations means That means before entering into that one, we have discussed the jet transform for the fundamental uh, set of equations, that is for the step function, ramp function, a power k into u of k setting. Okay, so and all these fundamental jet transform has to be remembered by you. So in order to solve so many problems, these kind of the fundamental jet transforms has been studied by you. So in order to solve uh, very uh, lengthy problems regarding to the pulse transfer function, as well as in sequences of the values, different equations of the values. Okay, so we have discussed some of the fundamental equations, that is the step function a power k into u of k, etc. After that, we have seen the values, that means the jet transforms for the calculation of the k square, and we have seen the jet transforms for the ramp function, that is f of t is equal to t and a power k, and e power minus akt, a power k and b power k for the k values greater than or equal to 0 and less than 0. And we have seen the one-sided jet transform for the continuous time functions t square sin omega t cos omega t. That means previously previously also we have seen that we need to determine the jet transform for the continuous time signal, but we have to convert that continuous time signal into the discrete sequence by just substituting or replacing small t with kt, small t with kt. So just substituting the value of kt with, sorry, small t with kt, that continuous time signal can be changed to the discrete sequence. Okay, so after converting into the discrete sequence, we have to apply for the jet transform technique. Okay, so these are the fundamental jet transforms, that means sin omega t and cos omega t. In this one also, just in order to convert the continuous time signal into the discrete time signal, just we need to replace the small t with k into capital T. K into capital T. Okay. After that, we have seen most important problem, that is e power minus at into cos omega t and e power minus at into sin omega t. We have seen the jet transfer techniques for these functions also. Okay, so before doing or applying the jet transform method, try to see the value which is given in t or kt. If the sequence is just given in k into capital T, there is no need for any conversion. Or else, if the function is given in small t, just you need to replace the small t with k into capital T. K into capital T. Okay. After that, that means after the calculation of the fundamental equations, we have entered into the jet transformation methods. That means in order to apply the in order to find out the jet transforms for different functions, we have to go for jet transformation methods. Jet transformation methods. In our subject, we are having the two different jet transformation methods. That is partial fraction method and residue method. Partial fraction method and residue method. Okay. So for calculating a typical type of sequences, we have to go for partial fraction method as well as for the residue method. Okay, so after that we have seen the problems regarding to the partial fraction method. Partial fraction method. That means if the sequence is given as a s divided by s square minus omega square, it can be represented as s plus omega into s minus omega. So that particular sequence has been taken as a divided by s plus omega plus b divided by s minus omega. And applying the partial fraction technique, that means expansion technique, we are going to find out the values of a and b, constant values. So after substituting that constant values and just taking the inverse Laplace transform, it is going to be converted into the t domain. That means f of s has to be transformed into f of t, and after applying the jet transform for f of t, the f of t is going to be converted as the f of z. So in calculation of the partial fraction methods, you people must be well known about the inverse Laplace transform as well as the jet transform applications. Inverse Laplace transforms and jet transform applications. Okay. So after that, we have seen so many problems regarding the partial fraction method, and after that we have moved into the residue method. The main advantage in case of the residue method is there is no need to remember about the inverse Laplace transform and jet transform. Why? Because just substituting the root values or the pole values in the fundamental equations, we can find out the residues. If there are two different poles in the given sequence, we are going to get two residues. And after that, just adding these two residues, we can just find out the jet transforms for that particular sequence. Okay. So this is the equation or basic formula for applying the residue method for the sequence. That is, residue r is equal to limit s tends to r s minus r into f of s into 1 by e power st into z inverse. 1 minus e power st into z inverse, where r is nothing but the pole. So after that, just substituting the value of pole in that fundamental equation, we can simply get the residue of that particular function. Okay. So in this one, for example, let us consider the sequence f of s is equal to k divided by s into s plus 4. That means we are having two different poles at 0 and minus 4. And the order of the poles is about 1. Okay, that means two different residues are going to be happen for this one, and calculating these two residues and adding these two residues, we can find out the f of z. That means there is no need for the application of the inverse jet Laplace transform and jet transform applications. Okay, this is the main advantages which is going to be happen in residue method. So after that, we have seen plenty number of problems regarding to the residue method, and after that we have moved into the next topic, that is inverse jet transform methods. So in our syllabus we have seen, that means we have only three different inverse jet transform methods. That is, one is the partial fraction method, second one is the power series method, and the third one is the residue method. Partial fraction method, power series method, and this power series method is also called as the long division method. And the third method we are having is residue method. Okay, these are the three different inverse jet transform techniques we are having. Okay, we have seen so many problems with all these three different methods. The first one is inverse jet transform using the partial fraction method. So in order to apply the partial fraction expansion, the given sequence must be represented as, that means let us suppose if the given sequence is represented as x of z, in order to apply the partial fraction expansion, that sequence has to be represented as x of z divided by z. X of z divided by z. Okay. After that, x of z divided by z, the given sequence has to be expanded with the help of the partial fraction method, and we are going to calculate the values of the constants a, b, c, and just transforming the z value to the right hand side and applying the inverse Laplace transform, the inverse z transform, we are going to get f of kt. That means f of z is to be converted into the f of kt. This is the technique which is going to be applicable for the partial fraction method. That means the given sequence has to be represented as f of z divided by z in order to apply the partial fraction expansion. So after that, we have seen so many problems regarding to the partial fraction method, and after that we have moved into the residue method also. Residue method also. Okay, in that residue method, the basic formula which is used for calculating the residues is limit z tends to r. In the case of the previous z transformation techniques, it is represented as s tends to r. Why? Because the given sequence is in f of s. Here, the given sequence is in f of z. Therefore, limit z tends to r, z minus r into f of z into z power k minus 1. In the previous one, it is limit s tends to r, s minus r into f of s into 1 divided by 1 minus e power st into z inverse. E power st into z inverse. That is in case of the z transformation technique. In case of the inverse z transform technique, the basic equation which is used for the calculation of the residue is limit z tends to r, z minus r, f of z into z power k minus 1, where r is nothing but the pole. R is nothing but the pole. Okay, so just substituting the pole values, we are going to get the f of kt value. That means f of z value is going to be converted into f of kt. F of kt. Okay, so in this one also we have seen so many problems, and we have entered into the third technique, that is the power series method or long division method. In the name itself, we are able to know about the long division method. Long division method. So in this one, if f of z is going to be represented in positive powers, it has to be represented as negative powers. That means z square plus 2z divided by z square plus 3z plus 2 has to be converted into the negative terms by just taking the common value of z square in the numerator and denominator and cancelling them. We are going to get we are going to get 1 plus 2 z inverse divided by 1 plus 3 z inverse plus 2 z power minus 2. So simply with the application of the division process, we are going to calculate the coefficient values. That means a coefficient sequence is going to be obtained. That means if the coefficient sequence is about 1 minus z inverse plus z power minus 2 minus z power minus 3 plus z power minus 4, the f of t value is nothing but 1 minus 1, 1 minus 1 and 1. Okay, it is a never ending process. It is going to be calculated for certain part, and after that, just taking that one, we are going to get the f of t value. F of t value. In this one also we have seen one more problem. That means try to see the coefficient values. It is in the form of 1 plus 6 z inverse minus 3 z power minus 2 minus 12 z power minus 3. That means f of t value are nothing but 1, 6, minus 3 and minus 2. F of t values are 1, 6, minus 3 and minus 12, and so on. Okay, these are the different inverse jet transform method we have seen. We have seen, and after that, we have moved into the different properties of jet transform. Different properties of the jet transforms. That means, in case of the jet transform properties or the theorems, there are basically 7 different properties or theorems. There are additional and subtraction, multiplication by a constant, complex translation theorem, initial value theorem, final value theorem, shifting theorem, convolution theorem, and partial differentiation theorem. So, apart from the problems, once we have a look into the previous university question papers, we must able to know the different properties also. They are asking about explain different properties of the jet transforms or theorems of the jet transforms. Okay, so all these theorems or the properties are very important in order to apply different applications. Apply different applications. Okay, so the addition and subtraction method, that is jet transform of f1 of t plus or minus f2 of t is equal to f1 of z plus or minus f2 of z. f1 of z plus or minus f2 of z. And the second theorem is multiplication by a constant. That means z transform of a into f of t is equal to f of a into f of z. A into f of z. And complex translation theorem is going to explain as z transform of e power plus or minus at into f of t is nothing but f of z into e power minus plus 8. And the most important properties of theorems of the jet transform are initial value theorem and final value theorem. Initial value theorem is nothing but calculation of f of 0. That means the initial value theorem is f of 0 is going to be obtained with limit z tends to infinity f of z. And final value theorem is going to be obtained with f of infinity is equal to limit z tends to 1 z minus 1 into f of z. Z minus 1 into f of z. That means calculation of f of 0 is initial value theorem and calculation of the f of infinity is the final value theorem. And after that we have moved into the shifting theorem. In shifting theorem we are having two shifting process. One is the right shift and second one is the left shift. And the right shift is going to be assumed as the delay, that is time delay, and the left shift is going to be assumed as the time advance. Okay, in case of the right shift, that means if f of z plus n is going to be happen, f of z plus n is going to happen, the shifting property is explained as z power n into f of t. And similarly, if f of z plus z minus n is given, the shifting property is explained as z power minus n into f of s. Z power minus n into f of z. It is going to be happen in right shift and left shift. And the next property is the convolution theorem. That means that convolution theorem is going to explain as the product of f1 of t and f2 of t is nothing but f1 of z into f2 of z. The convolution product. The convolution of f1 of t and f2 of t is nothing but f1 of z into f2 of z. Okay. After that, the last property is the partial differentiation theorem. That means the Z transform of dou by dou A of f of t comma A is nothing but dou by dou A of f of z comma Z transform of dou by dou A of f of t comma A is nothing but dou by dou A of f of z comma A. Z comma A. Okay. After that, we have seen so many problems regarding to the initial value theorem and final value theorem, determining the initial value and final value of a function that is f of z. Okay. So in order to obtain the initial value theorem, that means for calculating f of 0, the expression we are having is limit z tends to infinity f of z. That means that means z has to be replaced with infinity. What is z tends to infinity means 1 by z tends to 0. 1 by z tends to 0. That means all the expression has to be represented in, that means transform from z to 1 by z. And substituting the value of 1 by z as 0. We are going to get the initial value here. Initial value of the function f of z. And similarly, for calculating the final value of the function f of z, f of infinity is nothing but the final value of the function f of z. In that one, limit z tends to 1, z minus 1 has to be multiplied with f of z. Z minus 1 into f of z. That means z minus 1 has to be multiplied with f of z, and z has to be substituted with 1. Okay, so just substituting the value of z is equal to 1, we are going to get the final value of that particular function f of z. F of z. And we have seen so many problems regarding to the initial value theorem and final value theorem. These problems are very, very important. Very, very important. Which are asked for the 7 marks or for 2 marks questions also. Okay. So after that, we have entered into the next topic, that is calculating of the difference equations with Z transforms. So in order to calculate or to solve the difference equations, we people must be very familiar of all these fundamental functions. All these fundamental functions. That means shifting functions. If for time delay, time not delay, time advance, that means k plus n terms, we have to expand the Z transform with initial conditions also. Initial conditions also. That means if k power k plus n is going to be taken, the Z transform for that function has to be taken as z power 4 into x of z minus z power 4 into x of 0 minus z power 3 into x of 1 minus z square into z of 2 minus z into x of 3. This x of 0, x of 1, x of 2, x of 3 are nothing but the initial conditions of the functions. Okay, so in order to solve difference equations, we must be very familiar about all these difference functions. That means the Z transforms including initial conditions. This initial conditions is going to be applicable only when the function is represented in time advance. For time delay, there is no initial condition. The initial conditions are assumed to be 0. The initial conditions are assumed to be 0. Okay. So after that, we have seen the calculation of difference equations. So in this one, you people must be familiar about whether he asked us to calculate or determine the transfer function or pulse transfer function. If he asked us to calculate, if he asked us to calculate the initial value theorem or the Z transfer function, Well, try to see whether the initial conditions are given or not. Try to see whether the initial conditions are given or not. If initial conditions are given, we have to apply these formulas. If initial conditions are not given, we can just neglect or take the initial conditions as 0. Okay. So in this equation, let us take this example: y of k plus 2 plus 3 y of k plus 1 plus 4 y of k is equal to x of k plus 1 minus x of k. We need to determine transfer function. We need to determine z transfer function. Here in the statement of the problem, he has not given any initial conditions. So the initial conditions are assumed to be 0. And applying simply the basic z transform method on the both sides, we are going to get z square into y of z plus 3z into y of z plus 4 into y of z is equal to z into x of z minus x of z. Taking y of z and x of z as a common values, and taking the ratio of y of z to the x of z, we are going to get one function. That function is nothing but called as a z transfer function. Z transfer function. Okay. So after that, we have seen so many problems with and without the consideration of initial value theorems. Sorry, initial conditions which are used for solving the difference equations. So in this one, so in this equation, difference equations, let us see the given difference equation is represented is c of k plus 2 plus 3 c of k plus 1 plus 2 into c of k is equal to e of k. The left side part is nothing but the output and the right side part is nothing but the input. In order to calculate the z transfer function, output divided by input has to be taken with z transform. So here it has given us the initial conditions, that is c of 0, c of 1 and c of 0 and c of 1 as 1 and minus 3. So just applying the basic z transform and considering the initial conditions, we are going to get the z transform for the given sequence as z square into c of z minus z square into c of 0 minus z into c of 1 plus 3 into z into c of z minus z into c of 0 plus 2 into c of z. And the step function of the z transform of the step function is nothing but z divided by z minus. So just substituting the value of c of 0 and c of 1 as 1 and minus 3, we are going to get the z transfer function. The z transform function. And after that, the impulse response can be calculated by applying the partial fraction method. That means the difference equation, from the difference equation we are going to get the z transform method, that is c of z divided by u of z, and after that c of z is going to be converted to the c of k by applying the partial fraction. In this one also we have seen so many problems. While I have observed in the previous university questions, all the problems are regarding to the difference equations also. So make sure about all these difference equation problems and try to solve repeatedly, practice repeatedly in order to get the good marks. Okay. So after that, we have seen so many problems regarding to the difference equation with and without consideration of the initial conditions. After that, we have moved into the last topic, that is the pulse transfer function. Okay. So in the next class, I will discuss about what are the topics which we have covered in the pulse transfer function, and we will discuss the previous university question papers. Okay. So with this, I am going to wind up the class for today, as we are going to reach the ending time of the class. Okay. So thank you everyone. Have a nice day.